Now, in our first story, the Coalition of Civil Society Organizations Against Corruption have this afternoon accused the Presidency and the Audit Service Board of unfairly targeting retired Auditor General Daniel Yao Domelevo. They want Mr. Domelevo to drag government to the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ. Mr. Domelevo, who was directed by the Presidency to take 167 days accumulated leave, has since been retired, as the Presidency insists records available indicate he's due for retirement. The CSOs Against Corruption have been speaking on this matter at a news conference. Now, a member of the group, Dr. Kojo Pomponi Asante, described the retired Auditor General as an exemplary leader who saved the nation millions of dollars.
Think about it. In any of your institutions, if one day your employer calls you and says, you have 2 dates on your records, we want to be sure which one, because we need to be clear that one is authentic and one is wrong. And you say, no, this is my date of birth, and I have evidence, to prove it, to support it. And your HR says, no, we have decided that we are going to give you this date of birth, even though you are saying that this is your date of birth. Almost like it's a straight liability. As soon as you put your date of birth there, you can't take it back. It's ridiculous. And the danger about these things is that it sets precedents. And we have to be careful about these things. So the manner in which this was handled was, completely inappropriate. So, based on the actions that have been taken, should the state believe that Mr. Domelevo was born on 1st June 1960 because the Audit Service Board chair has decided that this is the date that he prefers? Is that how dates of birth are determined in this country? The hurriedly orchestrated queries and decisions taken by the Audit Service Board, acting in concert with the Office of the President, and the President's unilateral decision to forcibly retire Mr. Domelevo on the same day he returned to post from an equally forced accumulated leave confirms our belief that Mr. Domelevo has been unfairly targeted. The coalition notes with regret that the Supreme Court is yet to determine 2 suits relating to the constitutionality of the Auditor General's forced accumulated leave by the President, which was filed by Professor Kwaku Asare and 9 CSOs in July and October 2020, respectively. In part, this delay in hearing these time-sensitive cases have rendered some of the issues raised before the court moot and has allowed a grave breach of the Constitution to fester, at least in our estimation. So let me conclude. These 2 suits pending before the Supreme Court go beyond the Auditor General Domelevo and the President's action. The suits border on the broader issue of whether or not a president could exercise administrative authority over independent constitutional bodies. Therefore, it is important for the Supreme Court to deal with these suits expeditiously to prevent any such action by a future president.
Now, board chair of the Special Prosecutor's Office and executive director of the Ghana Institute of Integrity, Linda Ofori-Kwafo, had this to say.
I think the statement speaks for itself. It's so detailed, and everything we wanted to communicate to the world we have. But then I just want us to watch the space as to who becomes the next Auditor General. It's a matter that is very important and dear to my heart. Reason being that we've worked with many Auditor Generals in the past. I'm not saying I'm 60 years. But then, because of the work that we do, we've worked with former Auditor Generals. And for us, Mr. Daniel Domelevo stands tall. Actually, he stood tall because actually he's retired. He's serving his Thanksgiving 7. We have worked with Auditor Generals, including the board chair himself. I remember we doing some work with him on trying to even get the LI of the Audit Service to be approved or passed by Parliament. And we were not successful even on that one. I said that on that one. You're not supposed to reject that. So what it means is that we should be looking forward and be advocating as media persons and civil society organization members to get an Auditor General who has audacity like Daniel. If we don't, we are doomed.
Away from that story, the Central Region Coordinating Council is assuring bereaved families of the drowning incident at Apam that government would support them in this time of grief. Chief Director of the Coordinating Council, Kingsley Boahen, says the families would be supported in the mass burial of the 12 teenagers.
They need to come and pay a visit to the place because of the fact that it's actually turning to be a national issue. So we discussed with members of RISEC, and unfortunately the minister had to leave for an emergency call in Accra. But we decided to come and have a first-hand information of what is happening so that we can give her the needed report and so that we can actually send SOS message to the affected ministries for any action. So our mission is to have a first-hand knowledge of what is happening on the ground so that we can actually do a report on the incident which happened here yesterday.